Hey guys, this is Micah with the Dakno support team. I'm the guy that normally does the webinars. I've already seen a few familiar names, so it's great that all of you could attend. We've got a really special webinar today, obviously because it's not on Thursday. That's one of the nice things. Oh, it is Thursday. I can't even keep my days straight anymore. No, we're really excited to show off the new UI. We've worked really hard on this. We've spent about the past 6 months developing it and getting feedback from you guys and all of our customers. And we've taken that feedback and all the experience we have from working with a bunch of realty teams for a good long time. And we developed this new UI, this new way to interact with the software. So with me today is our special guest, the founder and CEO of Dakno, Brad, and he's kind of going to take it away from here.
Awesome. Thank you, Micah. Really looking forward to today. I'm glad to be able to finally kind of talk about this. It's something, like you said, we've been working on a while. I will kind of give one disclaimer before we jump into this. So what I'm working on is a little bit of a couple of versions back. I know that the development team has been hard at work releasing, incremental updates, getting ready for this. And so I haven't kept my stuff as updated. So I will say that this is the one I'm working on is a little bit of kind of still beta software. So we may encounter a couple of bugs and the joys of being crazy enough to do this live instead of doing screenshots or anything. But I thought it would be so much more impactful to show off this in a live working environment, albeit the beta version. But that way you guys can get a lot more out of things. So with that in mind, we're going to jump right on in.
I'm going to cut you off real fast before we get started. A few of you have already asked. We are recording this, and we will put up the full version once we're all done. We'll put it up somewhere, and we'll let you guys know where to find it, okay?
In other words, if I totally screw up today, it will be forever on the internet recorded and all that. So with that in mind, no pressure, right? So, all right, so we're going to jump in. The first thing that you see is even the login screen is going to be a little bit different, but I want you guys to kind of see that we really tried hard to make things a lot simpler and less clicks and everything. But I feel like that once you get in, you'll kind of see some familiarity to it. So while there are some things that may look different, I think that you guys will find real quickly that you'll be right at home using the new software. So jumping right in, we'll log in. Hopefully I've got the correct login and everything. And so the first thing that you're going to see is, and this is a one-time screen, we got a lot of feedback from everyone and said, you know what, that we've got buyer's agents who are just working leads or virtual assistants that just help to kind of go in and update the content within the site. So we sectioned everything off to different activities. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on lead management as my activity that I want to focus on today. So this would be as if I'm a buyer agent or I'm an individual agent who's working leads. If I want to kind of switch gears and focus on something else, then I can just go to my activity switcher and jump over to the site management or jump in my settings or anything like that. What that allowed us to do is really kind of clean up the interface. And you'll notice that in the past of the old blue version, as I'll call it, you'll have this long laundry list of all the different the menu items, the ad neighborhood and testimonials and everything. We really section that out. So now, if I'm going to spend the next 2 hours prospecting or anything like that, then I can jump in and not have to worry about all the content stuff. I just want to kind of have an interface that is centered around lead follow-up and lead management. So that's the first big thing that you're going to see. The other kind of big change that you see immediately is a new dashboard. So this is our contact dashboard. Each activity, so to speak, has its own unique dashboard, but this is our main lead dashboard. And this is really going to give us that one-click access to a lot of the most frequent things that we want to see, and to get kind of that sense of the snapshot of how we're doing. So I can see how many pursue leads, how many leads that I need to go in and qualify, how many leads that are new. I've got my agenda. So if there's additional to-dos, calendar appointments, we always talk about a big thing of reaching your database. How well, how good of a job is someone doing at reaching their database? So we're going to show this snapshot of through email marketing, through property updates, what have you, how many people we've been able to reach. And then also scrolling down here, a quick little snapshot of where those leads are coming from, because we realize that if you guys are spending money, you want to see that good ROI. So right there in a quick little snapshot, I can see what forms are being submitted, where my campaigns are kind of best utilizing. So the other thing is this new grading system that we've done is this speed to lead. And really, Micah, why don't you kind of talk a little bit about this whole kind of gamification, if you will, and what that speed to lead grade actually means?
Yeah, so we wanted to like update it and make it a bit more interesting. We wanted to interact with the agent a little better.
Sure.
So you mentioned the gamification of leads. Essentially, the speed to lead grade is going to take in all like how fast you follow up with your clients,
right?
And then it's going to kind of grade you, and that way you know how good are you doing. And obviously, you want to increase that score just like you would a game.
That's
so
right.
When you've got a low score, you want to work a little harder at it and get that score up.
Yeah, so basically the faster you respond as new leads come into the system, the faster you respond to those leads, the higher your score is going to be. And then if you've got a lower score or anything like that, all you have to do is simply click, and that's going to tell you exactly who those new leads are to follow up with, that it will help you get your score up. One other thing I want to focus on before we jump into the other portions of the lead management and lead follow-up system is this dashboard is really customized to the individual person logging in. So Jess, in this case, that as an individual agent, this is going to be customized for that agent. So those pursue leads and everything we're looking at here is really narrowed down to her leads. I know a big thing on the old system is when you log in, doing the filtering by, I've got to filter by my name and filter by pursue and all that. We really kind of help to eliminate all those clicks by right there showing that snapshot. If you manage a team, if you are the lead coordinator or anything like that, you could actually switch over to the team dashboard. That's going to show a broader level of where everything is kind of sitting from the aspect of the entire team. So this will show all the pursue leads throughout the team, all the monitor leads throughout the team, how the team as a whole is doing with reaching contacts and speed to lead and all those. So you've got that quick little snapshot, if you will. The other thing that you won't really see here that's going on in the background, every time you click something, it's going to store that in this memory. So when you come back, you don't have to click something again. So for example, if you like to look at your team dashboard by default, you set that and it's going to default to your team dashboard. If you log in and you generally 9 times out of 10 go in to edit your content, click on site management, the next time you log in, it's going to take you to that activity focus of site management. So there's a lot of, as we go through and looking at filtering and everything, it's got it's a lot smarter, so to speak, that allows you to set it once and then kind of forget it. So that's a quick little overview. One other thing, as you scroll down, we also have some helpful resources of if you need support, additional training, things like that. We really wanted to make that front and center. One thing that we did implement, kind of final thing we'll touch on the dashboard, and this is really throughout the site, something that we implemented a while ago. Live help is always just a click away. So if you get stuck on something, then you can chat with probably you, Micah, or Nick, or someone like that. So if you forget how to do something, or say, oh man, the new interface, how do I go over here? Then you can just simply click on that live support, and Micah or someone within the team will be able to help you out and guide you along the way there. So.
And that's also something I always like to stress. You're always going to be talking to a real person. It's not a bot. It's not someone like a machine that's going to answer that question for you.
Sure.
You're always going to be talking to a live person, or you're going to be leaving a message for a live person. So you never have to be afraid of using that thing.
Yeah, definitely. So let's jump in a little bit more, because I know they're probably excited to see kind of the new interfaces. And by the way, I think that we have Nick is on the live support and the chat. So if there's a question or anything, feel free to put a question into the GoToWebinar, and he'll try to answer as many questions. If he doesn't get to your question during the webinar, rest assured that we will definitely get to your question, maybe follow up offline after the webinar so you can get those answers to those questions. So jumping into the contact. So this is that contact grid that we've talked about in the past and that you guys are probably a little bit familiar with. Now, granted, it's going to look a little bit different, but what we've tried to do is kind of balance the most important information, but also reducing some of that clutter. So immediately, a few things jump out that I want to point out. That we really tried to make a lot of more visual indicators of the leads that that are most likely to do business right now. So we've always had in the past our various status indicators, whether it's a pursue lead, a new lead, a monitor lead, etc. But we wanted to take that a step further. So we've got these new icons that are that will show what is a quote unquote pursue lead or a hot lead. So the other cool thing about this is because we realize it is a new interface, if you forget along the way of like, oh wait, and kind of would be obvious, but that big fiery red bold indicator there, what does that mean? It looks like it's a hot lead or a pursue lead. Well, yep, you got that right. It's a pursue lead. So and you'll notice that these icons are kind of set as almost like a scoring system or almost like an indicator that if someone is kind of at the bottom of the the sales cycle, then they're just starting out, or maybe they're still kicking tires. It's going to be a monitor lead, so that indicator is barely starting, and then the encourage leads, and then the pursue leads that are going to be a little bit hotter. We've got a couple other icons of converted, and the ones that are that stand out the most. Hey, this is a new lead that you want to go in and follow up with. So that's something that, of course, all this is sortable and everything like that, but we really wanted to do a better job of focusing on those hot leads that are most likely to do business, that are more at the bottom of the funnel that will convert through.
Also, one other thing, this isn't going to be applicable to everyone, but personally, I'm really excited about this. We've had agents in the past come to us and explain to us that we've used colors as indicators in the past, and we have agents come to us that were colorblind. Mm-hmm. So if you look, those symbols each have a unique symbol tied to each of those levels, as well as Brad touched on, those that increasing level of bar around the symbol. So we're trying to think of every use case that could come to us.
Yeah, and that's really, I appreciate you pointing that out, because that's the level of detail that our user interface designer and the team kind of really went in and thought through each step of the way. So really proud and really pumped up about the job that they did on that. So the other thing that we got a lot of feedback on our old interface is for people who use Dakno IDX and everything. It's like, okay, great, pain, David's got a to-do, things like that are going to really try to kind of pull those things that are important. One other thing that I know that's something that I would really kind of heavily push when I was teaching the old interface. Probably somebody's thinking, okay, what about those people that we always talk about of sorting by who are coming back to the site? So this is a perfect example here with Casey that created 32 days ago, last visited 3 hours ago, but yet we haven't, the last person, Jess in this case, last time Jess contacted this person was 23 days ago. So there's a couple things happening here. We know that is a lead that is back on the site and engaging. So it's no coincidence that there's a contact reminder. And we're going to talk about those contact reminders in a little bit. So in other words, the system has identified that Casey was a colder lead, one of those monitor leads, and then look at this, it has automatically upgraded Casey to a pursue status that says, hey, Casey's back on the site, saving properties, doing this, doing that. So the system has proactively upgraded that person and then set a contact reminder for Jess in this case to follow up. So there's a lot of logic that's kind of going in the background, and we've kind of doubled down on some of that we saw that worked really well in the past, kind of going through and kind of accentuating, so to speak, those new features here. Of course, phone number, email, all of that good stuff, so we can quickly contact them. One thing to note, we're obviously looking at this on a laptop, but as all of kind of the new features and the little nuances that Micah was talking about, that is visible on the desktop, we spent just as much, if not more time on the mobile version to make sure that everything is optimized, right down to, if you want to click on a phone number, that'll immediately call that person, so you don't have to worry about copying and pasting a phone number, things like that. It's all optimized no matter what interface or what medium you're looking at, whether it be whether it's a laptop, iPad, tablet, phone, etc. We really tried to focus on making it just a beautiful interface in all types of different devices. So that's kind of a quick little snapshot of what the new contact list looks like. Keeping in mind, if you want to sort, you still have the ability to sort by the last time you contacted someone, the last time they contacted you or they engaged on the site. Lots of different sort features. And then we've had this in the past. Just wanted to point out that it's still there. We still have the ability to import your contacts in, add a contact directly from here, and then filter out and search. So if Bob Smith calls, you can just type in Bob's name or whatever sortable or searchable field you want to search off of, so you can go in and quickly access a person when they call up, so that you've got all that content at your fingertips.
Another fun tool we have, if you do click the more on someone to look at their different tags and sources, you can actually click, if you see a tag you want to dig deeper into, all of these tags down here are clickable as well. Mm-hmm. So that'll help you, speed up. Again, it's all about minimizing those clicks between where you are and where you want to be.
Yeah, so that's huge. So if I say, oh, you know what, I want to see other sellers who are looking at, all my other sellers or other people looking at nights or anything, if I want to see the other sources or anything like that, you can simply click and everything will filter based off of that. So good feature. Thanks for pointing that out. So since we're kind of digging into this contact here, we'll jump into the contact details so you can see kind of what that looks like. Again, there's going to be some familiarity here that we've had in the past. We've really just tried to kind of make things a lot easier and smoother for you. So again, doing some of these same things that we've done in the past. If we can find their information on social, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff, we'll pull in their profile photos, pull in their social media. That way, immediately you can go in and see, what they're doing online. We talked in the past about crafting those coincidences, so to speak. If you get more information, they give you a cell number or anything like that, I can quickly just go in and edit their contact information if need be. I can add a quick little note that says, hey, in this case, they're relocating to Clayton, things like that. So again, all those key elements of when's the last time we contacted them, when's the last time they visited the site, how long they've been in the system, all that right there at your fingertips. The other thing that we really tried to do to make a lot cleaner is we've sectioned things out into these various tabs. So if I want to see their email marketing, their activity, I can quickly go in and do that. One thing I want to point out here, because this is something that a lot of people have asked for, and I'm so pumped up the fact that we now can say that this is visible on the front end. I know we've had some questions, especially with teams, that someone looks at Cole's contact and say, wait a second, I thought he was a new lead, but he got changed to a pursue. When did that happen and who did that? So every time you go in and update a contact, that's now going to show within the activity log. So if a lead gets reassigned from someone to someone else, if someone changes anything within that particular contact, it is going to show up in the activity log. Of course, remember we were talking about how the system really remembers and customizes based off of what you're looking for. So if you say, well, that's just noise. I don't want to see every time a lead gets a changed assignment or anything like that. No problem. You can just delete that and it's going to remember. So every time a status gets changed or anything, you have the ability to filter those out. That way you can really set up the system to be customized to you. But that's something that I really am pumped up about, and like the fact that, you know, in this activity, I can see at 3:19 that he came from Facebook, and then later on he filled out a form. Of course, I can go in and see all the details of that particular form right there at my fingertips. I don't have to go to another page or anything. And then later on that it goes to, you know, changing the status, lead follow-up, different assignments, et cetera, et cetera. So we really have kind of the, you know, a lot of new things here that you can get granular in checking out kind of what's been happening. Email marketing, we've really simplified that. Hey, I want to add someone to an email marketing campaign, one click and save, and I'm done. If I want to remove someone, one click and I'm done there. So really, as you see, really try to streamline a lot of this. And when talking to the development team, I kind of peeked my head in on a number of discussions, and it was really cool to be a part of that and listen, because they literally fought over, wait a second, if we do that, that's one more click. So really kind of focusing on you as an agent. We understand your time is valuable, and it may not seem like a lot, but if you're doing, you know, prospecting over and over again, one extra click here, one extra click there, I get it. It definitely is something that adds up and takes time. So we really tried to challenge ourselves on how do we make that just as intuitive as possible.
So one more thing I want to touch on before we start moving on. Mm-hmm. I know that whenever I do an onboarding with you guys, or we touch on it in the webinars, I'm constantly encouraging you as agents to keep track of your notes, utilize them. One thing that we've done to make finding notes a little easier is at the very top, you can see we have this add note section. That's going to be there for no matter what tag you're using. Yeah. And on top of that, when you add a note, it'll add it to your activity feed directly. So that's not something you need to worry about anymore. Yeah. So that's a nice new feature that if I'm, you know, looking at the tags or the email marketing tab, or I just, you know, pick up the phone and anything like that, add a note as I'm typing here, hit add note. You know, everything is immediately just set. You don't even have to hit save on the add note. It will immediately go in and add that to the activity. So that's kind of like what we were talking about as far as like really challenging each and every click. Of course, we've cleaned up the calendar, to-dos, all that kind of good stuff. So it's a lot more intuitive, easier to go in. Easier to see what to-dos have been completed, to check off those to-dos as complete. So we've got a lot of new things there to really kind of go in and clean up that whole process there. So good little overview of the contact details and the contact list page. Really tried to kind of challenge and put things at our fingertips. If you want to change the status, we really are trying to encourage these new icons so quickly. You don't have to hunt down if someone is a colder lead or a warmer lead, et cetera. So right there at the front, right by his name, you can see the status of that. If you want to change the status, we don't just have, make you select the name or anything like that. We attach those icons so you can begin to kind of get a better feel for, a pursue lead. We also really tried to kind of organize things a little bit better, where it's a more logical kind of hierarchy, where it starts out as new, and then you want to go in and you need to qualify. Hopefully they're going to move right to a pursue. And then we have some, if we find out they're junk or they tell us not to follow up, and then ultimately the converted lead there. So went through and really tried to kind of challenge and went in with a lot more of those icons and little things like that. So that's kind of an overview of the contact details and the contact list. Again, if you've got any questions, definitely feel free to put a question within the GoToWebinar, and we'll do our best to do that. So with that in mind, I want to
kind of stay on the contact section, not leaving the activity quite yet, because it's more than just the contact list and the contact details. We kind of took what you're seeing here and applied these same principles throughout the other pages as well. One page that I always enjoyed and really liked the fact that it had some cool functionality, but admittedly was probably one of the more challenging pages to create, were the contact reminders. So I want to kind of walk through that as well, because I think there's some really neat things that the contact reminders can do. So essentially, yes, you can go in and create to-dos each and every time that says, oh, I'm talked to Cole, now I want to make sure that I follow up with him in 3 days. And then, oh, I talked to Casey, I need to make sure that I follow up with her in 3 days. Talk to Bob. And what happens is it gets very cumbersome for you as an agent to try to, you'll find yourself continually creating those to-dos over and over again. So we came up with this concept of contact reminders and really kind of focus a little bit more on, we kind of put everybody in groups or categories and say, all right, we know that Casey and Cole and Stephanie and everyone are all pursue leads. So we have a general mandate that says, look, if it's a pursue lead, if it's a hot lead, we don't need to be going weeks before we contact them. We need to be making sure we contact them and touch them every few days. So we can set up a contact reminder that says, if that doesn't happen, hey, can you help us, system, can you help us to with that gentle little reminder there. So if I want to do that, let's say that, pursue lead follow-up. And so I'm going to say, if any contact has not been contacted within, let's say, 5 days, and they're, let's say that they have a status of pursue, then send a notification. So in other words, what I'm saying is, if it's been more than 5 days since we have reached out to this contact, any contact within our database, and it has a status of a pursue lead, then we need to send a reminder to that whoever it's assigned to and say, hey, it's time to follow up on this hot lead. So simple as that. I go in and hit save here, and now I don't have to create another to-do for any of my hot leads ever again, because I know that I talked to Cole on Monday, day 2, day 3, day 4 goes around, and day 5 hits and I haven't talked to Cole again. He'll show up in this list and I'll get an automatic email that says time to follow up on Cole. If it's 3 people, if I contact 3 of my hot leads on Monday, and by the end of the week I haven't reached back out to them to make sure we see what's going on, then sure enough I'll get an email that says, here are these 3 people that it's time to follow up on. So it really kind of helps out with instead of having to go through one by one creating those to-dos, it dramatically helps to automate that system. And keep in mind, this works in conjunction with those automatic upgrades we were talking about back on the contact list. So even if you don't do this, and by default, someone who is, let's say, Micah, you go to my website and I call you up and you say, no, thanks, I'm just looking. We've all heard the term buyers are liars. So, there's a good chance that just like if I want to go walk into an athletic shoe store and I drove across town with the intention of buying a pair of running shoes. Even when I walk in and the person at the front says, hey, is there anything I can help you with? What do we always say? No, just browsing, all that kind of good stuff. So if that ever comes, in the case, and you set that person as a colder lead, like, Bobby in this case, that says maybe we contact them and Bobby says, oh, no, just, so we're going to go in and put them as a monitor lead. If Bobby goes back to the site, regardless of whether we've created these contact reminders or anything like that, if he goes back to the site, starts engaging in the site again, and the system recognizes that, hey, wait a second, Bobby doesn't seem like a monitor lead. He seems like he's, checking out properties and everything. Again, keep in mind, the system will automatically upgrade Bobby and then send you a notification that says, hey, we've upgraded him. And additionally, what we talked about here is in that contact details page and that record of the activity, you will see that the system upgraded him from that monitor lead up to a pursue lead. So there's a lot of things that you can do with that. The contact reminders, we can go through, some of the email marketing and everything. One other thing that we tried to kind of go in and do a quick little refresh on is the marketing vault. I think this is something that's it's got a ton of value, but not always utilized to the best of its capability. So remember, guys, that there's all kinds of videos and resources and marketing campaigns and pages and things like that you can go in and leverage. Follow-up scripts. We've worked with coaches and the like to have a lot of tools and resources within the marketing vault for you to be able to go in and add new content to the site and get those scripts for lead follow-up and everything like that. So just given time, we're not going to go in every single page as far as the email marketing, the to-dos and everything, because I want to make sure that we've got some time for some questions and also to show you some of the other things that's kind of going on here. So with that in mind, what we'll do is we're going to kind of switch gears here and go in from the contact, that activity of lead follow-up and managing all our leads, and we're going to switch over to the site management. So within a click, I've now kind of shifted gears. One thing you'll notice here is all of my menu on the side has changed, and I'm now focused activity on the website, the content within the website. So if I want to go in and tweak my design, edit the menu, tweak our plugins, what have you, our neighborhood, some of these, these content pages that you guys are probably who's been a client of ours for a while and kind of using our old interface are familiar with already. We went in and tried to kind of freshen those things up to make them a little bit more intuitive here. So now if I am a virtual assistant who's just helping out, building out pages, neighborhoods, or anything like that, maybe that virtual assistant doesn't even need to, focus on the CRM portion or anything like that. And what we tried to do is with this concept here, the easiest way to describe it is to think about like Google Drive or Microsoft Office. It wouldn't make sense to create one software that is Microsoft Word plus Microsoft Excel plus PowerPoint plus everything. So Outlook, it would just be a software with all kinds of menus and so it's just logically it seems more logical that, all right, I want to create a presentation, so I'm going to open up PowerPoint. I want to check my email, so I'm going to go to Outlook. And that's kind of the model that we followed here of, your CRM is kind of tucked under lead management, because we're continually trying to show additional value and upgrade our system for what you guys are continuing to kind of grow that base of what you're getting out of the site. And as we've grown and as we're adding more features, we realize that has kind of grown beyond just one simple online tool, that really it's a suite of tools to be able to manage your leads and manage your content and IDX. And so by breaking those off into different activities, kind of similar to in that Microsoft Office type approach, it helps to kind of clean things up a little bit more. So here's our site management. Again, a lot of the pages that you guys are already probably familiar with. When you want to go in and create a new neighborhood, add a new content page within your site, you've got that just one click away, and now you can go in and focus on creating that new content. Making sure we keep things like search optimization and everything front and center, and keeping it very clean to be able to edit content within the site. The same for the design. If you need to go in and edit your design, different things like that, you can go in one click and be able to do that. So, and then of course, for those who have Dakno IDX, we've got full IDX integration. So we can go in and see, get an overview of, and this is pretty thin because again, this is our kind of our test beta software that we're looking at here. But this is connected through Triangle MLS, so I can get a quick little overview of that. I can go in and if I want to edit my registration options or anything like that to get people to register, this is, hey, let's register after however many clicks. Again, really trying to clean things up so where if it's not needed, we don't show as much stuff. So as soon as we say, yeah, let's enable forced registration, now the pertinent information kind of pops up. And you'll notice that as you're clicking through the interface, there's a lot of those little things that happen. If we don't have to show the data quite yet, we'll suppress that until you take an action and then show what's the most important. So I think, Micah, focus is a big theme that I know that you guys, as you were going through and tried to kind of go in and really kind of assess what is it that person is doing right then and there, and then kind of push everything else out of the way.
Yeah, so I like to compare it to a toolbox at your house. Yeah. So when you're walking through the house and you've got if you got to repair a wall or if you've got to repair a sink, you're not going to pull all your tools out of the toolbox all at once.
Just dump them out on the ground.
Throw them there. Got to kick them around a little bit. Yeah. You got a big old pile of tools you got to mess with. And our current UI kind of works like that, where you got all your tools at once, and it's useful because you have everything. Right. But if you're pulling a hammer out to fix your sink, you're probably not going the right way about it. Right. The new idea of the new UI is focused on just pulling out the tools you need for the job you're doing. Yeah, yeah, and I think that's logical. It makes sense from that standpoint of hey, there's certain thing that if we just need to focus on the IDX or what have you, then you can kind of go in and do that. So definitely something that's a kind of a lot more of a logical approach. One other thing I wanted to point out, that when you first log in, and I'm sure that you guys are probably kind of familiar with this pattern, if you've ever downloaded an app and you say, okay, wait, I've never used this app, or maybe they change interface on you, there's kind of a tour that you walk through, so to speak. So once we roll this out, and we'll talk in a second about some of our rollout timelines and everything, once we roll this out and you log in and you are in the new interface, what will happen is the first time you log in, you'll select a default activity. And then once you do that, it's going to take you on kind of a real simple 5 or 6 step tour that refreshes some of these things. Instead of listening to me talk for 45 minutes, you can get kind of that quick little summary that says, hey, you need to get back here, click here. If you want to switch activities, go over to the activity. So just those things that we've tweaked and changed, just that helpful little reminder that will kind of get you acclimated again to the system. So that's a handy little thing there, just to be able to walk you through and kind of increase that comfort level, so to speak. Let's see, anything else, Micah, that we needed to kind of touch on? I know we're given the time and everything, we're not going to go through every single page, but I feel like that at least we wanted to give people an overview of those key points and kind of the concept of what we're going after here. So. No, you pretty much hit everything, all the major points that we want to touch on. One thing I do want to stress, those of you who are familiar with our current UI, you guys are going to see some minor things changed around. For example, Brad touched on how your website design is now under your site activity. So it's going to make some sense. The other one I wanted to stress is all of your agent settings are going to be under the setting activity. That way, again, it's all about that focus, making sure you focus on the things you need when you're wanting to work on those things. So when you first open this box up, when you start looking at your things, it may seem a little jarring, but do keep in mind you can always reach out to us at live support or email us, and we'll be happy to. We're expecting a lot of questions when this thing finally goes live. Yeah, we've talked a lot about kind of the game plan.
there are going to be questions. We're going to ramp up our support. We're also going to be ramping up a lot of our live training. So of course this today is supposed to, the purpose here is to give you an overview to kind of say like, okay, we've heard about it. We got the email. What does it look like? At least you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like. I know, Micah, you're going to be doing quite a few trainings over the next couple of weeks. Those are great because once we release this, which we'll talk about here in a second, like you said, there's going to be questions and everything. We expect that. So having those more frequent live webinars will allow people to get that one-on-one help and be able to see, that exactly what's happening to get those answers, those questions answered. Of course, we'll always have our live support and everything. But I really like those live webinars because there's usually is a smaller group of people attending, so we can kind of focus a little bit more and almost it's not the same thing every time. It's really customized based off of the people attending. So if 5 people are attending and they all want to focus on lead management and how to get leads to respond and things like that, we don't have to spend 30 minutes talking about the content manager. We can jump right into the lead manager. So we talked about timelines and everything. So just to kind of give you guys an overview, starting kind of middle of next week. Next week, we're going to begin to roll this out in phases. We've got quite a few servers. I don't know the last time, I've kind of lost count. We've got 40 plus servers that kind of help to create all the various sites for you guys and everything. So unfortunately, it's not just a simple flip a switch and it is 1 second it's the old interface and the next second it's the new. So we're going to be rolling those out in phases across our servers. So that is probably, that timeline is going to take what do you say, about a week to do. So
that's what we're aiming for.
Yeah, so we're going to start the rollout.
The rollout starts on actually Monday, the 26th.
Okay.
So some of you are going to boot up your website on Monday just as you get back from the weekend and see brand new toys.
Yep. So we'll be doing that phased in, and so you guys will be able to see this sooner rather than later, and not have to say, okay, this is great, but is it just a concept, and how long before it's going to actually roll out? And I know for many of you guys who've been asking, hey, give me that one-click link so I can just see all my hot leads, or give me that one click so where I can just process my new leads. That dashboard that gives me an overview of what's happening and everything like that. So I know some of you guys said it can't happen fast enough. So, and I want to just give a big kudos to the development interface team that has spent a ton of time going in, testing this. Of course, anytime you roll out software as big as this and upgrade software as big as this, I'm going to be realistic here and know that there could be some bugs and things along the way, but I am very confident that it is going to be a huge step forward and a huge net positive. So if for some reason you guys, kind of stumble on something along the way that we have missed, hopefully it is minimal. But if you do, like I said, we've ramped up our support and ramped up our development resources to be able to focus on this. So shoot us an email or give us a call, use the live chat, and we'll be able to get things really, done really quickly. I've even was kind of looking at some of the new things and found a little bug, and I was crazy impressed with just the speed at being able to fix some of these bugs. So that's kind of an overview there. If you've got additional questions, I haven't been able to see all the questions and everything in here. So if you have additional questions, feel free to hit us up on live chat, email us. We're gonna, with the last few seconds here of this webinar, feel free to ask a question in the webinar, and we will try to get that over to you just as those answers just as quick as possible. And then finally, just to wrap up, want to say thank you. You guys are the people who are the cutting edge, want to see the new stuff and everything. So it's many, and like you were talking about, Micah, seeing a lot of familiar faces. I see a number of people on the webinar that have been a big help in contributing. Hey, my team wants to be able to see X or Y, to be able to kind of push us to always innovate and kind of raise our game there. So want to say thank you and appreciate all that help and great feedback that you guys have given us. So I think that's everything. We'll kind of wrap things up from there. But and then one more reminder: this webinar is being recorded, so we're going to post that. So if you want to go back and kind of peek around at a couple of more things, or if you've got someone, other buyers agents or anyone within your team, and you want them to get a heads up and an idea of how everything looks before the rollout, we will make the recording available so you can go in and watch it again or pass that along to someone else to watch it. So with that in mind, Micah, thanks for helping me out and kind of coming in and being a part of something that you usually do. So it's fun. I don't get a chance to do this a lot. But definitely enjoy kind of getting in and playing with some of the tools and everything. So with that, hope you guys have an awesome day, and we'll see you later. Mike, you got one more thing before we?
Yeah, before I let you guys know, I'll let you guys go. You might want to grab a pen. We are going to have some, Brad touched on this, we're going to have some more special webinars on March 27th, 29th, April 3rd, and April 5th. All 4 of those are going to be focused on this new UI. It's going to be a lot of the stuff we heard today. We're going to try to focus a bit more on some tighter groups, just so if anybody wasn't able to make it today, or if you guys did make it today and you want to just sit through this again, we're trying to make this as open for as many people as possible. Regular webinar dates will start back on April 19th. So beyond that, it's going to be a lot of focus on this new UI. And Brad, thank you for coming. We've had a lot of fun.
Yeah, enjoyed it. Thanks. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.